Akers in the 102 or Jonathan Taylor?
Jonathan Taylor. And I know this trade hurts Scott's soul to its core, but he's going to agree with me.
Yeah, because the more time goes on, the higher that threshold of the 2022 picks continues to rise and rise and rise to the point where it's like, I'm not even sure I really want the 102 or the 103.
Okay. How about if I gave you Akers, Jalen Waddle in the 107?
No.
Or Jonathan Taylor? That's still not enough for you.
Start
Shane.
10. Start 10.
Start 10.
I think about it because I know I could flip Akers for something, but man, I really hate this class. Like on a personal level. So I'd probably end up sticking JT. That feels like turning $1 into a bunch of, Indian head nickels or whatever they used to call those, buffalo nickels.
The most random responses.
Exactly.
I think
what about you, Scott?
I think it's my contingency on being able to trade Akers because, again, I'm going to try to pivot off of Akers for a pivot down. I mean, if I could accumulate close to almost 4 firsts in a JT deal, then I could get behind it. I mean, you can probably flip the 107 for a 23 first, maybe, if they don't listen to Dynasty Trades in 5.
or
play with you.
47.9% of the other podcasts
right.
that are getting hip to the game. Although I did hear one podcast the other day telling me that people are still in on 2022 picks, and I laughed.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I'm pretty sure it was the show called Dynasty Trades HQ, and they were talking about trading 22 first for 23 first for 22s. But no,
not me.
If I omit the host that's on this show that also hosts that show. If I can trade the 107 for a 23 first, then I'm obviously getting Waddle, who maybe he's not worth 2 first, but he's clearly worth more than 1. So I think I would consider it if I know I can flip that pick for a 23 first, and maybe I have to add a late second or something like that, something to get the other person to accept it. I think I could get on board with that. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. Okay, guys, we need in the comments some more trade ideas. All right, here's one. Very simple. Gallup or the 203 and the 303.
I'm assuming Superflex. Gallup is a dude. I think I can get Kyron Williams right there. I like Kyron Williams a lot.
Look at you. You already know the board. You already know who's
that 303 is awful though. Like I did a mock last night, and at 305,
I don't agree.
I don't care if you agree.
I think the 303 is a perfect pick this year to build your 50% of my roster spots are running backs, and I'm going to get RB 9 or 10 in the class. But it has some value though. So I mean, I think it's not a nothing piece in the deal if you have the right roster construction, like we talked about in the past. So you're crapping on the 303, Shane. It matters.
It matters that much. But I'll take the 203 and the 303. I'll run it back there because I could get a Tyler. I can't pronounce his name. BYU running back as well. Algier.
Yep. Everyone says Algier. I believe it is Algier. That's the official pronunciation. So I had this debate with somebody else, and we were actually talking about Brandon Cooks. Same thing. Michael Gallup is in the same range. Like, can you picture a scenario where Michael Gallup is worth a slam dunk? I can trade him for a first.
No.
Just picture, it's not going to happen probably anytime soon because he's probably not going to be fully cleared until at best. They're saying training camp, but I posted this on Twitter. The dude had his surgery on February 10th. To expect that he's going to be like good to go opening day, like that's a 7-month recovery. You just bet against it. I'll just bet against a 7-month ACL recovery. So I'm going to have to wait a while to even get what for Gallup? A second plus? You know what I mean? So I'm okay just taking the pick. Just process. Give me the 2 picks. I'll worry about buying a Gallup share later somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Gallup was just getting me a second rounder last year when he was healthy anyway. So if he comes back out, and look, that in modern medical marvels nowadays, everyone comes back better than they were before. They're the freaking bionic man, $6 million man. But if there's any hit to his speed, any hit to his agility, and he's just suddenly like, I don't know, gets passed by Ced Wilson, then he's just completely gone.
Well, remember this. remember Cortland Sutton, right? Remember how he looked last year in training camp? You got those videos of like he just isn't. And he even said, I remember an interview with him in training camp right before preseason, and it was like, I just don't feel 100% when I'm going up and jumping for the ball. Like he may actually be there, but to say like his dynasty value is going to be able to bounce back before we get anywhere during the season. And we know when you get in the middle of the season, values are all over the place. We have no idea who's going to be going for a second or a first or not going to be worth anything because they're hurt. Look at the circle back right now on like DJ Chark and Juju. I'm starting to hear more people say, oh, I want those guys. You couldn't trade them for anything when they got hurt. You couldn't even get second round value for them during the season. You couldn't pivot to another. So lesson learned, Gallup or insert 40 other receivers. Go to your ADP, your ranks, your tiers, or whatever. If you see a wide receiver that is outside of like that top 30 range and you can get a first, take the first.
Bye-bye, yeah.
Take the first. Because even if you end up with the 112 or the 111, what are you getting? Probably a early round 2 receiver in a rookie draft, which is basically a re-roll on a lot of these same guys. But what if you get a 103 or a 102? You know what I mean? That's when it's a process deal. Anyway.
Process. So are you taking Trevor Lawrence and the 104 or Joe Burrow?
Ooh.
Just came up with that one.
That's a good one. I think I'd go Burrow because I'm not big on moving from the top 1A, 1B, 1C. I think Shane and I agree with those like 3 mini tiers.
1D.
Okay. I'm not interested in moving in those tiers for packages outside of that tier. But it's interesting because Lawrence, I mean, you can talk yourself into him being a top 10 quarterback, top 8 quarterback around the fringe, but it's all value. It's all value. So that's not the deal I'd be looking to make. I'd actually be trying to pivot back to Dak Prescott. Does somebody value him less than Burrow? Does somebody value Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson slightly less than Burrow? Can I flip a third to get a second and get one of those guys back? That's how I'd like to make my profit. I don't want to turn Burrow into just T-Law in the 104. So no.
So let's not get too much in depth here, but where are you guys heads at on Zach Wilson? He's got like a lot of buzz recently. Everybody hated him. Now everybody wants him.
They do.
I mean, I've run into a bunch of people who we got one guy
trade him then to him immediately.
So no, there are a lot of truthers though, and I'll be honest, I'm still holding out hope myself, but
don't.
Well, okay,
don't.
Okay, Shane.
He wasn't a good college football player. He had one good season when he played against basically 13th graders.
So would you go Zach Wilson and the 105 or T-Law?
T-Law.
You were going to say T-Law no matter what I said.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. What about you, Scott?
I think the chance that I can get up into that top tier with T-Law is a lot easier than with Zach Wilson. So if that's your ultimate goal, which is typically my goal, is to try to get, I want every roster I have to have 2 of the top 8 to 10 quarterbacks. If that's a random Russell Wilson or even a random Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, like I'll accept it, but I'd love to literally start my rosters with 2 of those top 8 or 2 of those top 10 on every team. I think it's a lot easier to get there and move around once you have Lawrence. If you have Zach Wilson, I mean, I was just about to say before you put that trade up that Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, based on their rookie years, probably have similar hit rates given their draft cap. But if you just take their draft capital and their rookie years, you're going like there's not much difference between these two. But then you look at both of their numbers and you say, am I really going to have to make a bet on one going forward? You can't talk me into Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence.
Honestly, if I could, I'm getting out of either of them. Like if anyone comes near me with a Joe Burrow offer, anyone in that D tier, that also includes Dak Prescott, I'm getting the hell out. If anything close to that, I take Stafford for Zach Wilson. Like anyone, Kirk Cousins for Zach Wilson.
All right, so here's one right here from Nathan in the chat. Carter and Judy and the 104. Or CMC and Godwin.
Yeah, it's only start 9.
Start 9, 10 team.
It's a 10 team start 9, so it's equivalent of like a start 7 in 12 teamer. So yeah, just take the best player.
Smash the CMC.
Because if you're starting Carter and Judy every week, you got problems, bro. And I don't mean that to be mean.
Let's try to find another one here. Kelsey or the 110 and 204? Let's assume that it's not a big tight end premium or start 2 tight ends.
I'm sticking with Kelsey, man. Again,
Sticking with Kelsey, right?
I've dug into this class enough to know that by 110, I'm already going, oh God, someone please trade up. Someone please trade up for me at this. And no one's going to. Kelsey, as much as we've trashed him, he's still going to put up 15, 16 points, 17 points a game next year. He's still an elite difference maker at a position of scarcity. Like one of my co-hosts likes to say, it's there's not a lot of difference makers at the tight end position. So I'm going to hold on to one of the few that I have.
What if it were Kelsey or the 105 and 204?
It'd be more appealing. I don't know that I can see myself hitting accept. The only way I could do that is if I know everybody from 101 to 103 is taking a quarterback, and I'm going to have a choice between Treylon Burks and Breece Hall. But if I get to there and I'm looking at Kenny Pickett and Drake London, I'm going to hate myself, and I'm going to hate myself probably for the rest of my life.
Well, I mean, let's reform it. If it's a 105 and the 204, I would rather have if we're not assuming it's a tight end premium, then I don't necessarily need a tight end coming back. If it's a 175 premium or something like that, then I actually would be better off taking a tight end with that 204. Like I'd want a tight end coming back. You know what I mean? Give me like Mike Gesicki and a first for Kelsey. And if I can turn it into a 23 first, we were talking some trades the other day and it was like, it's a heavy enough premium. Would you do a 23 first and Mike Gesicki for Travis Kelsey? 23 first and Noah Fant for Kelsey? Like those kind of deals, it may not feel good to do it, but at the same time, like this is probably your last shot to get it for Kelsey. So it just depends on where your team is at and the positional advantage. That's what you're giving up. You're giving up the positional advantage. The value is on the other side. The value is on the other side, but Kelsey, it's just the positional advantage. You know, can you make those points up somewhere?
Okay, so how about this one? Deshaun Watson or the 102?
Oh, Watson.
We're taking Watson.
Yep,
we
Watson.
In the Watson show, what was it? It was 101 and 106 or Watson. I think we were kind of that's about his price. Is that where your head's at still? Watson or the 101 and 106?
I'm still taking Watson.
Still taking Watson. Right?
I think that deal is definitely different than this deal. If you're looking at the 101 and the 102 right now, like just think about all of the situations that have to happen for you to say, I'm very comfortable at the 102 that I potentially could hit on one of the two quarterbacks that I think could be like game changers. You know what I mean? If like Malik Willis gets a good spot, he's a top 12 dynasty quarterback. Whether he hits or not, you're going to treat him the same way you treated like Fields and Lance last year. So I'm okay actually taking that side. But if it's the 102 and the quarterback's underwhelmed from a capital/landing spot, then I'd much rather have Watson. But that's a hefty price. A 101, you get the choice. You know what I mean? Something crazy could happen with one prospect. That's all it takes for the community to go, oh, that guy's worth at least 2 firsts. Now you're like, man, I wish I had that 101 back. So 101 and 102 is a huge difference.
Sounds good. By the way, thanks everyone for joining. We got 47 eyeballs on here watching the bomb live.
Wait,
not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous going into tonight.
If everyone
I do all the editing, I can't edit out myself live.
If everyone has 2 eyes, assuming everyone watching this has 2 eyes, that's
we only got 25 people watching then. I'm not nervous anymore.
Okay. Cool.
All right, so here's one. Tyler, shout out Dynasty Pandemic app. Swift for the 101 and 201. 12 teams, start 10. We'll assume super flex.
From a startup value, Swift's going to go higher. At the same time, what can I get for the 101? You know what I mean? That's the key driver. It's probably, can I get Deshaun Watson plus for the 101 in another league? If I can, then I'm considering it.
But that's the problem, though, is I don't think you can. Like, honestly, yeah, if I thought I could immediately flip that for more, definitely. But I got a feeling I'm going to be left holding the bag going, all right, I got the 101 guy. Guys, who wants to make a trade with me? And someone's going to offer me Cam Akers and a 3rd rounder. And I'm going to go, oh, no, this did not work out well at all. Most years, literally, every year that I can remember playing Dynasty football, I would slam the 101. I'd be like, no doubt that 101, because I'll even trade that for the 105, 17, and 110, and I'll make out like a bandit. And I don't even want the 15, 17, 110 in this class. I'd be like, oh, no. Now, if I could get those and then immediately flip them for 2023 firsts, maybe just cut out the middleman and trade Swift for some 23 firsts. Be probably easier to do.
Yeah.
Yep. And by the way, guys, appreciate all these trades in the comments here. Just try to put what the format is, how many you start, super flex, all of that good stuff. Let's see. Here's a comment. What's up with all the Tony hate? The other day I said we should do a Trades in 5 episode on Tony. Where's your head at with him? Let's pick out a random comment out of here.
We hate Tony? Who hates Tony?
I don't know. William has people that hate Tony in his life.
Look, here's the thing. So he had good targets per route run and target share per route run, but he only had 2 games where he did anything. If we just take out, how he looked on the field, and he looked really good. He looked excellent in those 2 games. If you just take out off like what you saw and you just look at his stats for the year, he's not a player that should hit. You can build in all the excuses you want, though. You can say, well, Joe Judge was bad at coaching football, which he clearly was. Daniel, what's his face? Daniel, bad quarterback, was bad at quarterback, and also true. Couple injuries thrown in there for Tony. But if you're looking at it agnostically without any biases, I wouldn't say I hate him, but he's a player that I'd be willing to sell high on if people, if they were more convicted than I am.
He just seems like one of those players. Like, could you imagine yourself like confidently lock and loaded, started in a start 9 or 10? I guess to be determined, but I don't see it.
Start 9, no. Start 10, I could definitely see me putting him in the flex every week, and then getting angry when he gives me 3 points, and then sitting him on the bench, and then he puts up 40, and then I play him for the next 6 weeks, and he doesn't even total 40 in those 6 weeks. So that's kind of where I see him.
I mean, I think we have to separate the fact that the Giants of old are not going to be the Giants of new. Now, they may have to get another quarterback before it actually looks like as appealing as maybe the Bills have the last couple of years. But I think that's the first thing, is it's going to look totally different. So we almost can throw out some evaluations of the players that we've seen already on the Giants. But I still can't get past the fact, Kadarius Toney, if you go back to his junior year in college, he was literally the wide receiver 7 on his own team in college. There were 6 receivers that had better stats than him. So I can't buy in at anything other than I have a couple shares, and it's, will anyone give me a first? Of course, nobody's going to give me a first. But I think part of the appeal of having him is he seems like the kind of player that could have 1 or 2 games and somebody gives you a first.
Yep.
So that'd be the only appeal. But do I really want him? No, he's in that. I mean, what is he? Wide receiver 35, wide receiver 40? He's just in that range where I don't really care who it is,
So would you rather have Tony or the 201?
201.
I mean, Tony's got to be worth more than the 201, right?
Nope.
Probably not. I'll take the 201, but for my own pride, I'll try to get another pick thrown in there.
So what if it were Tony or the 206 and 210? Taking the 2 shots there?
Yeah, start 10. I think you could justify taking Tony, but I mean, you could, if you said, hey, I've mocked this out and this is what I think I'm going to get at the 206 and the 210. One's a receiver, one's a running back. I mean, profile wise, the wide receiver 10 in this class is better than Kadarius Toney. It's just, he got drafted in the first round. That may be a, early 3rd round receiver, which is a different bet. So I can see both sides. I think I'd probably take Tony there because I'd want to trade him for a singular asset versus, 2 late seconds or a mid and late second.
Sounds good. If you guys are watching on YouTube and you're enjoying this, smash that like for us, by the way. We would appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, that's what the cool kids are doing. Okay, here's one from CXK. Judy and a 23 first or Akers and a 23 second?
There's one piece of that trade
Judy.
that really
That's
turns me on. It really does it for me. That 2023 first, whichever side that was on, is the side I would take. So, yeah. Oh, and Judy, too. Judy,
Easy.
yeah. Yeah, and Judy's going to have, some value when Aaron Rodgers signs there or they draft Matt Corral or basically anything if they put any quarterback in there that's not Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, so I can sell Judy for a little bit of a spike, hopefully in a couple months.
Agree.
All right. Let's see. Lance Tua in the 2022 102 or Herbert. Man, that's a haul for Herbert. No, it's pretty good. Super flex. Lance Tua in the 102 or Herbert.
So it seems like a lot. It really does.
It seems like it.
Two is a quarterback 3 on your roster. How important is that to you? Your third quarterback. Lance could easily end up being Herbert, right? Scoring wise, not the play style wise, but that's a could. I've seen what Herbert. Look, I'm all in on Herbert. I've spent ridiculous amount of capital on him this summer. Oh wait, it's not summer. This off season. I'm going Herbert. Yeah.
So let's say if with that 102 you could buy T Higgins off of that owner, right? So Lance Tua and T Higgins or Herbert sounds better, right? Basically, I wouldn't want to draft that pick.
And that's
I'd want to have something in my back pocket. What do you think about this trade, Scott?
I actually made a similar trade. I traded Lawrence, CeeDee Lamb, and Cole Kmet in a 2 PPR for Herbert. So, I mean, I think if you're pivoting off of Herbert, you want to get another quarterback that's in striking distance to be one of those top 12s. Like some of the pivots you see where you allow somebody to pivot from, Derek Carr up to Herbert or something like that. Like that's probably where you're doing it wrong. But I mean, Lance could suck, Lawrence could suck, Fields could suck. But those are pivots where at least there's a profile backing why you're doing that. You know what I mean? So I think that's what you're looking for if you're moving off one of the elite quarterbacks and you're not getting one of the tier A, B, C. And just for everyone, Herbert, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Kyler, Burrow, Dak. Like that's how we're pretty much looking at these guys from like that tier 1. Like if I'm breaking out of there, it's got to be one of the next like 3 or 4. You know what I mean? It's got to be Fields, Lance, Lawrence, Watson, Russell Wilson. Like it's got to be those 5. And I know Shane's going to disagree with Russell Wilson. But I like it. I like both. I like both sides. I mean, I probably chase the Herbert side just simply because I don't have to worry about the quarterback position. You know what I mean? Like, and Tua is pretty neutral to me. I think he has no upside. I think his ceiling in any year is quarterback 15. So he really just is like he's an auto sell if I can get any first anyway. So I think I take the Herbert side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
okay. Shane, what do you think?
So over his first 2 years, Herbert's giving you 22 and 22 points a game. It's hard to move off that for what Lance could be, because Lance could also be Jamarcus Russell, or he could be EJ Manuel, or he could be a number of guys that were drafted highly that ended up sucking, that we all thought were going to be good. And it happens every year. Like I'm old. I remember when Donovan McNabb's class came out, it was like 5 quarterbacks and one of them ended up being really good, McNabb, and Culpepper ended up having a couple good years. But then you also ended up with like Tim Couch and Achilles Smith, and I don't even remember who the 5th guy was at this point.
I don't even remember who Achilles Smith was. So
Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals. You got to remember Achilles Smith.
Don't remind me.
Okay, here's one from Alex Walkling. Saquon in the 104 or the 102 and a likely early-ish 23 first. So Saquon in the 104 or the 102 and an early 23 first.
Alex, if you've listened to all the episodes, you know our answers on this one.
Give us the early-ish 23 first side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Look, that could have been. No. Sorry, Saquon. See you, bro.
And honestly, just to kind of deconstruct this trade a little bit, I actually think the 102 from the 104 is a decently valued move here, because you're going to lock in probably the RB1. If you wanted to quote unquote replace Saquon,
Yep.
Not that you're going to replace Saquon, but you're going to probably replace him with a placeholder. You're probably going to lock in a top 20 or better dynasty back with that 102. Then it's basically an early 23 first for the 104. And I think if we knew it was early, that's easily the early 23 first. So
Yep. 10 team super flex, PPR, start 10, Kyler or Aaron Rodgers and Javante.
Oh, I'm going Kyler. I mean, the value, sure, it's on the Javante side, sure. Until I try to make that trade, until I'm like, oh, all right, next year, though, when I'm trying to get back into the Kyler range, I'll be trading Javante and a retiring Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to get back into that Kyler range. You can tell me I'm going to, but I'm not.
I mean, this is a tough one because it's only a 10-teamer. The scarcity is just not there. So you can value the positional advantage, but I think, if you let's just say you went out and got another quarterback, it's in the Rodgers range, right? Like that's actually going to be more comparable in a 10 team than a 12 team. And you get a free Javante, who's even a locked in starter in a 10 team. So that's a good trade. My mind has a hard time processing 10 team because the scarcity factor is different.
Oh, I ignored that. I completely ignored the 10-team thing because I don't even know how to play in a 10-team league either.
It's like a 12-team start 9. So it's like you're getting 2 locked-in starters in your lineup for 1. That's the difference. But I get it.
Yeah. Okay. So then I'd still take Kyler.
It doesn't even matter. Shane.
Yep, still Kyler.
Still Kyler. Okay. So Elijah Moore or Saquon?
Is that
Saquon?
Yeah. What would you have to throw on top of Elijah Moore for you to give up Saquon? Scott, you own Saquon. Guy wants to give you Elijah Moore straight up. What else would you need on top of Elijah Moore?
So I'll give you 2 answers. One, if I have a roster where basically like almost all my dynasty rosters where I'm like, hey, I need an RB1 or an RB2. Like this is the type of deal I want to do to get it. I don't want to give my 23 first. I don't want to give 2 pieces. I don't want to color up at a lower end running back. I don't want to give a high first and Miles Sanders to get to a Joe Mixon or something like that. Like that process wise, I don't want to give up the leverage. I don't want to give up the 2 for 1. This is a receiver for a running back. Assuming that I've already built around a lot of receivers, sure, it's going to hurt a little bit, but I'm not giving up a top 10 receiver. I'm probably giving up a solid wide receiver too that has a good projection and a good profile, but you're not overpaying to appropriate your roster construction. So that's why I'd probably say Saquon. That's just kind of where my head is at right now. But I guess it depends on the roster. If I have 4 other running backs, there's no reason for me to buy Saquon.
Yeah, do we care about running back 2s now? Because that's what he is. I mean, his name is still really cool. His name's Saquon Barkley, and we have these visions of, remember when he came out of Penn State? Oh, remember his first 2 years? He ain't that guy. You know what I mean? Look, I'm a different guy than I was 3 years ago. Hair's a little less. Saquon's a different player than he was 3 years ago. He ain't as good. But to answer your question, Clay, literally anything, throw anything on top of Elijah Moore and you will get Saquon from me.
Jamar Jefferson is the guy.
Jamar Jefferson. I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Throw in Josh Adams.
Yeah, we'll give you Josh Adams. Maybe toss you.
He's a free agent for the 7th time, Shane. Maybe he'll latch on somewhere and you can pick him up.
So is Shane. Shane's a free agent with the same value as Josh Adams. All right. Let's see. Let's switch over to a little bit of strategy talk. Wanted to bring up the 23 class. 23 class is it's the hottest class that I've ever heard of since I started playing Dynasty, and people still watch our 23 show a lot on YouTube, right? So we had one question here. It says, if your league is valuing the 23 class as if it's any other, future rookie class, but you already have 5, are you still buying given the value? Scott, can you talk about why it is that you want to have a lot of 23 first? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so he already has 5, so I'm going to assume this is a 12-team league. So I think there is a little bit of diminishing returns, and it's a lot of times because you can't just acquire every single pick in the league. Most of my leagues where I have 3 or 4 23 first, people see that and they're like, yeah, I'm probably not going to trade anymore to you, or they're just other managers that are not interested in trading them, as they probably should be. But there's diminishing returns. Once you get to like 5 first rounders in a class and you're holding like 5 picks out of the 12, you actually control a little bit more value than the 5 picks that you have, because you may have the 102, the 104, the 105, the 108, and the 112. Well, clearly from that, like 102 to 108. You have 4 picks. So you really can kind of dictate what the other people around you have to do if they're drafting at all based on need, or they're trying to play the market value within the tiers. That's why I like to cluster them. So this guy's done a great job getting 5. I mean, Evan's gotten 5 of them already. So it's like he's probably going to control 2/3 of that draft, whether he has the pick or whether he controls a tier and he has 2 of the 3 in the tier. You know, he can pick and choose which ones he wants to trade away, and he's going to have more information to act than if he just had one random pick. And the other thing is, you know, I have a ton of picks. I actually hit on all of my leagues. I hit 200% today on 23 first, which means I have 2x how many leagues I'm in. But the thing is, I don't want to make
on our 100th episode.
100th episode, yeah. I don't want to make all those 23 firsts. Part of this strategy is I think I can buy more in November, and I'm going to have to probably pick some spots in leagues where I don't necessarily want to trade them away. But there's going to be 1 or 2 people in random leagues that are like, okay, I'm gutting my roster. I want 23 first. I'll literally trade you like my top 3 players. You know what I mean? Like it literally could shift the focus of the entire league if they can get their hands on 2 players next year. That's what I'm hoping for. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'll gladly take the picks in the next offseason. But I think that's part of the strategy, and the market is like 95% of that price right now. So I'm a little worried that we get to October and the price can't go that much higher. We talked about it on a couple of shows before. Like they're going for 5th or 6th round startup picks in Superflex. So I mean, how much higher can a random first go? You know, if it's the 101, that's a smash. If it's the 112, you know, that's probably more like a 8th or 9th round startup pick. So it's just playing the market. It's playing the market and controlling the board. That's why I want so many of them.
I'm 1,000% okay with having to make the picks. Normally, I'm like, no, you don't want to make the picks. Like it's 2022, I don't want to make any of those picks. I want to trade every one of those for like an established player. You know what I mean? 2023, if I'm adding, Gibbs and I'm adding Bijan Robinson and I don't know who else, Kendall Milton, I'm gonna be okay with that. I'll be okay with that.
Kendall Milton, Shane.
No, I don't look.
Kendall Milton. It's not a real person.
It is, but I wouldn't put it in the mix of the top 30 players.
So whatever. So if I draft, but if I, my point is if I draft 3 top running backs, right? Top probably 30, 35, 50 asset in the NFL draft. I'm okay with actually drafting those and actually having to play them next year. Like I don't have a problem with that at all, because especially at that position, running backs, you know, we see running backs hit young. That's not a concern. So I'm going to keep buying those picks. And again, because this year you can trade them later. If you want to go for a championship later. Yes. If you want to go for a championship this year and you're like, all right, well, I'll take the title this year and I'll worry about, I'll trade these 23 picks because I know they have a ton of value. I'll use them to trade for Devontae Adams or whoever at the end of the year and just absolutely smack people in the face with my massive team strengths.
I threw this question in there, Clay.
Okay, I was about to say, how did 4th and 1 infiltrate?
He did it.
StreamYard and get that up there. Or we
threw it in there because
23 seconds.
I think it's pertinent to the discussion. First of all, do not give the ball to Samaje Perine on 4th and 1. And that's the first thing. Second of all, I think I've gotten this question a lot, and I just mentioned I had 200% of 23 first, right? But if I check my 23 seconds, I am only at 120%. So clearly I'm not as
get your shit
worried.
Together.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about the 23 seconds. And here's the reason. We talked about the 22 draft class. There's going to be more prospects in this class. Once we get the combine, once we get the draft, there's going to be a lot more to choose from. Think of it like anyone's been on a cruise. There's like a lot of food and a lot of buffets that are available. Most of it's garbage and most of it's average, but there's a lot of options. I think 23 is going to look more like probably 2020, a little bit less, and more like 2021 at the top. Like you're going to want the top like 15 picks. I don't necessarily value the random 23 second more than I value the 207 this year. The 107 and the random first next year, easily. I mean, we know that's an absolute smash. But the 207 and a random second, that's more in line with like historical values. Okay. Because I think that the strength of this class is just the volume. You know, if you have players you like and you want to take a ton of them, the value is going to be in the second or third round this year, where you just really like a guy, you take 5 different shots at the same player and hope he hits, and then you have some assets to sell. That's where I think you're going to get value. I don't want to load up on 23 seconds. I'll take them, but those are going to be what I really want to spend during the season to get cheap veterans, because other people value the class so much, and I don't think the depth's going to be there.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen that, even in deep first round classes where we love everybody in the first round, that the second round you're grabbing random second rounders and it's going to be difference makers at 2-9, 2-10, 2-11. So whatever, if they're thrown in, fine. The only thing I think about getting a bunch of those is good, because anyone that's getting FOMO for the firsts, and they go, well, this class is great. Like, maybe they'll come to me later when they can't get a first off of anyone because no one will sell. And I can get some appreciated value on that second that I'm trading to them.
Well, here's the difference, though. I'll add one more thing. Remember, in 2020, the difference was the draft capital correlation with the depth in the rookie drafts. You were getting second round picks, Chase Claypool, KJ Hamler. We're going in the third round of rookie drafts because it was that deep with skill players. You know, you were getting Gabe Davis in the fourth round. He was a fourth round pick. Look at last year. You were taking like 6th, 7th rounders and undrafted free agents in the third and fourth round of rookie drafts. So I think that's where this year is going to be appealing. You're going to get to the 405 in a rookie draft, and you're going to be like, oh, this random running back went in the 5th round. That's decent draft capital for a running back in the 4th round of my rookie draft. This tight end went in the 3rd round, and he's available in the 4th round. Like, that's the appeal of this class. Next year, there's no promises of that. There's no promises that the NFL is going to draft, 45 skill players in the first 150 picks. Like, that's kind of what you're looking for to get a deep class, but that doesn't mean it's a good class. So that's to be determined. I think this class, you're going to see it. You're going to see a lot of skill players go in the first 4.5 rounds. And that's kind of what we want for depth in Dynasty.
Yeah, so we got to I'm going to throw this one up. This is our boy Senra Says, and this is going to be funny because it says, Scott Clay, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this trade I made with Shane. We had to go back to trades here for a second because he's the man, always retweeting our stuff, and he's got great content himself. All right, Kyle, Shane, here's the trade. 14 teams, start 11, Superflex PPR, 1.25 tight end premium. Joe Burrow and Corey Davis are the 101, 105, 23 second, and Deontay Harris. So 14 teams, start 11.
I got my thoughts, Clay. I want to hear yours, though. You're the one that never gets to shine on these trade evals.
Well, I don't shine, sir. I don't shine. Let's see. Joe Burrow, Corey Davis, or give me Joe Burrow side. I see a bunch of stuff. A bunch of stuff there. Like Corey Davis, get that out of my face. Deontay Harris, 23 second, whatever. Yeah. Which side are you on, Shane?
Well, I'm on the correct side, which is the pick side. Because Joe Burrow is a QB12, but that's okay. It's okay. QB12s are nice to have too. But yeah, I'm obviously shooting for upside with Malik Willis, and I'm hoping that he's going to be basically the next Lamar Kyler. If he's not, well, then this trade is just going to end so badly. So badly.
No, it's a good trade though.
Because at 105, you're not going to get Kenny Pickett there and feel good about life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I could go Breece Hall and Kenny Pickett at 105, but like I already have Mac Jones and I didn't like it. And I don't want to go through it again. And Kenny Pickett, no.
I mean, the only thing is you're committed to taking a quarterback at 101 pretty much, which is a good bet. Yeah. And you're going to probably see one that fits in a spot that you like. What you're kind of hoping for is that the 2 of the other 3 quarterbacks, or however many go in the first round, most of those go before your 105. So you now have your choice of one of the top 2 skill players, because that's where I think you could turn this trade into your favor. Let's just say, Willis or Corral, those are probably the top 2 in terms of highest ceiling. Let's say they go to a spot you love. Okay, they're a downgrade on Burrow in name only because, well, you quote unquote haven't seen it yet, right? But that's you haven't seen any rookie play. So I don't think that's really a good way to evaluate it. But if you could then turn that 105, which could be the wide receiver 1 or the running back 1, into like a legit asset, you know what I mean? Or you could move down and get more assets. I think you could still win this trade. But yeah, I'm 14 teams start 11, like Shane said. It's a big mistake if he doesn't hit on the picks or the moves he makes with the picks.
Look, some of us aren't afraid to take risks. If we already see that our team is average, below average, just go for it. Like I said, if I do get Willis and I do get Burks, I'll feel good. Well, I'm going to get Willis. That's obvious. If I end up with Burks or Brees Hall, I'll feel pretty good. If I end up with Spiller, I'll feel all right. If I'm looking at, oh my God, there's no one left on the board, what am I going to do? I guess I'm taking Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson at 105. Then I'm going to go cry in a corner.
All right. So here was a good one. Where is this friggin', where's this question? Maybe I lost it. This one was interesting, though, from Scott H. If you have the 102 and you're rebuilding, would you trade it to get your 2023 first back and have the 102 in 2023?
I love the idea, especially because you can control the pick to be the 102 next year or even maybe the 101 next year, right? But there's an opportunity cost. I mean, you're basically
right.
You're giving up no opportunity to win anything this year. So you're basically punting a year. But I like the idea. I would be more apt to be more aggressive in trading for that pick, but I would like to get back a early second, or you know what I mean? Give me another shot on another player where I can just add another asset that maybe I hit on a Wan'Dale Robinson and I can trade him for a first 3 weeks into the season or something like that. Like I'd want that little piece, but I wouldn't be as stubborn as if I had the 102. I would be more apt to just do it straight up for the 2023 first if I get a small piece back.
Yeah, I totally agree. Get a second thrown on, kind of like a time value of money tax there. But yeah, I mean, like the idea. Shane, what do you think? Agreed? You're down?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I hate this place.
You love the 101 and 105, though. Okay, here's one. Camara or Kareem Hunt in a 23 first. We're just going to jump around strategy and trades.
I like it. Let's see. There's a 23 first.
Hunt first.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, let's see what this one is. Got some big names in here, so we'll throw it in. JT and the 2022 106 for Gibson. The 102, 111, and a 23 first. There's a lot to unpack here.
All right. So JT equals Gibson and a 102 and a 111. Pretty. I don't know. Easy. Gibson and a 106. Oh, wait. Gibson's on that sign. Then I need a chart. Can you give me a chart? There's a lot going on here.
Forgive Shane mumbling for the last 15 seconds.
What does that do right there?
You carry the 7.
I think the 23 first and the 106 is probably a washout. I mean, obviously,
yeah, exactly.
The first,
but I think the wash.
I think if it's a start 10, like we usually refer to, I mean, if there's more if it's like start 11 or 12 or more, then give me the appeal of the two players. But the other option is if you're trying to pivot down off of running backs and say, can I turn the 102 into a 23 first and something else? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I think about all these deals, because if I have a running back and I'm not looking to liquidate the running back at any point in their career, which is going to get very interesting next year when I draft all the running backs with those 23 firsts that I have. And then within, 14 days, I'm looking to trade off of them for future picks. But no, I mean, if you're either committing to Jonathan Taylor or you're entertaining a deal like this, because how many offers like this come in your inbox where you go, wow, that makes sense. I could see an outcome where Gibson is a top 8 running back and Taylor could fall a little bit and he's not a top 3 running back, and I could smash this deal in a year. So I like exploring it at least. Can you actually hit accept? That's going to be on your own accord.
It's worth a conversation. You're having a conversation.
If we're co-owners, I'm going to say, yeah, we're going to accept. We're going to take the Gibby side. What we're going to do is the Gibby and the 2023 first we're going to convince that that's close enough to JT, and then the 102 and 111. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to take it. We're going to take the pick, Scott. We're going to take the pick.
Shane, do you co-manage teams?
No. So I'll just hit accept and then tell you later that I hit accept. And then
Shane manages teams, and then he says that they're what is it, that you just manage it for like your podcast, right? But you just do all the work. You make all the decisions. There is no
Sipes and Madman have.
There's no round tabling or discussing. It's just Dynasty Trades HQ made this trade, and really it was just Shane went out and made the trade.
Yeah, Shane's not throwing it up on a whiteboard to present to his co-managers.
I'll tell you what, though, you could trade that. You definitely are trading that 102 for a 23 first, right? Like it's just a random. I don't care. Do it, and then you got 223 firsts.
Yeah,
and then
maybe more.
Yeah,
maybe more.
Yeah, I'm doing it. The more I look at that Gibson side, the more attracted I am to it.
So I'm gonna throw out more details too. We'll go ahead and throw this out right now. We're gonna do a Trades in 5 watcher, viewer, listener league, whatever we're gonna call it. So be on the look at Shane's face. I already told you you're supposed to cut an extra league so that you can make room for this one. We're doing a Trades in 5 league. You're not going to have to co-manage with Scott. We're each going to have our own teams. Am I having to sell you guys into this right now? Our own Trades in 5 hosts? You guys are in. We'll discuss this.
Yeah, I don't think we
okay.
have
Some more details to come. It's going to involve commenting on videos to get your name in a hat for a drawing of sorts. And we'll probably do like a 14 team, super flex, tight end premium start, 11-ish. But be on the lookout for more details. Let's get another startup going, baby. All right.
I want to do one of those XFL style startups where they do it like the XFL draft. Anyway, another conversation.
What do they do at the XFL draft?
We'll do another show on it. Basically, you have to draft or bid on each position. So you're basically drafting quarterbacks first, then running backs, then receivers, then tight ends.
No, I don't want to do that.
And then that's what we're doing. I like Shane getting out of his comfort zone.
Look at this guy right here. Right off the bat, he's like, "Hey, here's my sleeper username. Just go ahead and take this down. I'll be in the league." Yep. All right. So, what are we going to talk about next? Startup strategy. We just had a couple shows on startup strategy. I'm in the middle of one right now, and we're obviously going to do the Trades in 5 one. But where's your head at in terms of 23 first? Are you trying to acquire them when you're on the clock in the 6th round? Are you trying to trade that pick for a 23 first?
Oh man, you got me tongue tied because I think it's really hard to do. I think it depends on the name of the game with the people that you're in the league with. Because if you're getting in the leagues with 8 people, that we talked about this on the strategy show, if you're trying to do it in a league where 9 other people are trying to do it, you should just try to go the other way. As much as that's hard for me to admit that's probably the way to go. Even though I know, I just have a hard time actually pulling it off, like actually trading away my pick in a startup draft, especially in February. Because I think people underestimate just how much information they don't know in February. You can make the picks the most optimal based on your tiers, but yet you can't predict what's going to happen in 6 months. And I'm not just talking about like teams draft players, free agents sign, just literally attrition that happens that could impact the team, that could impact the franchise, that could impact the quarterback, the coaching. Anything can happen to where your asset is not what you designed it to be when you drafted your team. Like you could say, hey, I'm going to trade all my picks. Give me 3 extra startup picks. I'm going to pick 13 times in the first 9 rounds. I'm going to build the perfect team. That team on paper is going to dominate until you get to the season and it's not the best team. And now what? And that's the fear, is not that you might make all the right picks in the startup. If there's someone else that's accumulated, there's always a couple teams. This is usually my goal, but it's hard to do in every draft. Accumulating a couple extra firsts, but like back end contending at the same time. And when you hit on one of those and you have all the picks to play with, and I have as good of a team as you come week 10, but I have 8 picks in my chest to trade away and you have nothing because you gutted all your firsts, it's a coin flip whether you're going to be able to beat me because I have a pretty comparable team. But at any moment, I can go out and drop a hammer like we talked about earlier. You know what I mean? A random 23 first for 2 starters or something like that. So in February, I just can't I probably can't trade my picks away. And I know that doesn't really answer your question, but yeah, if I can get more at market cost, I'd still probably do that because I think the flexibility is worth it.
All right, let's actually jump back over to a trade here. 104, 108, and a 23 first or Trey Lance.
It's a lot to pay for Trey Lance.
That's a lot to pay, but
I think I'd go the picks because I can get a 23 for that 104, and I probably could still get a quarterback. Maybe not a QB1, obviously, but I could get really any QB2 I wanted probably on the open market. I could maybe add to the 108 and steal a Watson share. Like that you frame the deal that way and you're going, man, give me those other two first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Like, just thinking the 104 and the 108, I could ship off for another quarterback. Like, yeah, it's not going to be Trey Lance's appeal, but I definitely can get a high-end quarterback with those two. Because as much as, we've talked about this class, there's some folks that still like it, and they'll still tell you that you're going to find value at 104 and 108.
Well, let me ask you, insert Dak Prescott in that deal. It's still a debate, I think. So that just kind of tells you right there, you're taking on a lot of risk with Lance. And I love Lance. He's like my second highest rostered quarterback, but I'd probably trade one away for that in a 12 team for sure.
Okay, let's saw this one come up a couple times. I'm going to throw it up there. So we'll see if you know what he's talking about, Scott. So where's the cutoff on Scott's name value or safety blanket RB2s to players that actually are difference makers every week? I guess so. So talk about the replaceability, of these RB2s, and where's your cutoff on safety blanket ones?
Yeah, this is tough to fit in like this, the rest of the show that we have here, but basically
minute and a half. Go ahead.
Yeah, the premise of this is not necessarily is weighing the market value of the running backs. Literally list out the market value of the running backs. Rank your tiers 1 to 24, right? You can create your own tiers. Maybe you have 5 tiers within those 24 running backs. Then the idea is to look up, and I have all the data, which is usually what I'm speaking to when I'm talking about this, is what makes up one of those difference-making running backs. You've heard me cite before. If you finish at the RB9 in a given year, you're talking about over the last decade around 17 points per game. You're really only getting about maybe a 20% advantage over the back end RB2s. It's not a lot. It's super flat. It's not worth it given how much variance there is with running backs week to week. Just because I have the RB8 any given week, that's not guaranteed to smash your RB20, especially if my guy gets hurt and misses 3 or 4 games. So the replaceability at that range is super easy. So if I have a running back that I don't think can make up one of the top, usually it's the top 3. That's what you got to get to be a big difference maker. And usually that involves things like at least 50 catches. You can go through the ADP and pick out the guys that probably can't get 50 catches and go from there. And then there's just touchdown variance, yardage variance, touchdown or touch variance, injury variance, all that stuff. But I'm willing to bet. Shane and I did a show last year. Bet against J.K. Dobbins, period. It doesn't matter what team he's on or anything. The odds he cracks the top 6 in a given season is extremely low. So if he gets anywhere close to that, you sell it like RB9 value just because there's not a big gap. Pivot down to somebody else that's probably more likely to finish in the range of where Dobbins is, but you get something else on top. So I think hopefully that answers the question, but there's not a lot of guys that can be difference makers. Let's put it that way. Less than 6 probably.
Okay, let's see. West Coast Chiefer. Well, happy 420 to you. How's it hanging, guys? 12 team super flex PPR. Fields, the 106, 206, or Lamar Jackson.
12 team.
Lamar.
Super flex.
Yeah, I'll take Lamar there.
Yeah.
206 isn't much, and Fields and the 106 for Lamar isn't enough.
If I'm starting 13, I'm thinking about the Fields side because I think Fields could be Lamar, but Lamar is Lamar. So anything less than that, I'm going to stick with Lamar.
If I'm trading away Lamar, it's Fields plus a 23 first, and then I'll obviously try to get more, but that would be the minimum type. But this package, if I hold Fields in the 106, I'm okay shipping it off for Lamar. So I think the design is good, but I like the side that you're sending off to get Lamar here.
He said starting 9. It's a start 9. Okay.
Yeah, that's Lamar.
That's Lamar's side. This is great right here. We got to put Rockley. Scott is a cunning fantasy player, but my money is on me versus him in a dynasty playoff. he'll be a tough out, though he plays like me. All right, Rockley. Oh, Rock, you're the one who is supposed to create a video debunking Shane's take on Russell Wilson. We're still waiting on that.
Yes,
look, I'm still waiting for the evidence.
I'll
that Russell
super chat
Wilson
that. Let's do it.
Yeah. Ed, Shane, put on your clown hat for the last like 4 minutes here.
But it's not. All right, I'll be back.
Okay. in honor of Rocky. Okay, what else are we looking for here? Here, I'll just come up with one. Are you going Mahomes or Kyler Murray in the 102? Look at
What was the trade? Kyler
Mahomes
and
or Kyler Murray in the 102?
Man.
Kyler side.
Yeah. Kyler's he's close enough to Pat Mahomes. He's in that same sphere. So yeah, the 102, I'm getting the best running back or wide receiver out of this class, and they're going to be a top 12 asset. I guarantee it. By this time in about 6 months. So I'm going to take the Kyler in the 102.
Look at the clown eye. You look amazing. we gotta keep doing that. Okay, what time we got? We're coming up on the end. We still got 3 minutes left. What else do we need to? What else do you want to talk about, Shane?
Oh, I don't care. I see CD Lamb or DJ Moore plus a 23 first. Does it change if that is a 22 first?
Oh my gosh.
DJ Moore plus a 23 first.
Give me DJ Moore.
I'd hump that trade so hard. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Listen, I will make a bold statement. If there is one receiver that is outside the top 10 that could be the wide receiver 1 overall in a given season, it's DJ Moore.
Yeah, he's got the target volume. One of these days,
it's simply. I posted that tweet the other day about the production per attempt and per completion that his quarterbacks have had in his career, and it's more than 16% below what a top 12 quarterback produces. So it's literally just get him a top 12 quarterback, and you can probably extrapolate his production out like another 12 to 15% and do the math on that. That's a Stephon Diggs level season from 2020. I'm not saying he's going to hit that, but it's in the range of outcomes. I mean, if they were to get Deshaun Watson, I would not be shocked if DJ has a 120, 1,410 touchdown season. And maybe the 10 touchdowns is a little extreme given his history. But, I mean, like, he's the one guy that if he got a quarterback, you could be like, wow, this guy's always been really good. He just has had literally QB 25 for efficiency in his entire career. So we'll see. But I'm really high on him. And I agree. He's CeeDee Lamb. Imagine if DJ Moore had Dak Prescott or if he had Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll take DJ over Higgins. And if you can get anything plus for Lamb, like, that's a smash. Love that.
You would take DJ Moore over Higgins, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty close, but this one I thought was interesting. This one I thought was interesting. Will fit in here. Saquon or Miles Sanders in the 23 first. This one made me laugh because Shane loves 23 first. Saying Miles Sanders makes his skin crawl as an Eagles fan, and he hates Saquon.
Didn't we already take a Kareem Hunt in the 23 first for Saquon?
Over Kamara.
Yeah,
Kamara,
which is very different than Saquon, at least. Kamara, for some reason, is a much better player, but doesn't get the respect that Saquon still garners because he has huge quads. I'll take the 23 first and Miles.
Agree.
Yep.
And then, I'm going to run Miles out there 9 times next year, and he's going to break my heart every week.
Okay, Mike Evans or Juju and a 23 second.
Evans.
I guess.
Yeah, star 10, I probably would still lean Evans, but I don't hate it. Listen, could you tell yourself a story within 3 months that Juju is trading for Mike Evans? Like, you can see it happening.
For sure.
Not crazy.
If Juju comes out and has 3 good weeks to start the year, he's going to be a top 15 wide receiver again because people want to love him.
Shane will be paying first.
I won't have to. I already own him everywhere because I'm already predicting that he's going to bust out again next year in wherever it is. Hopefully not Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
All right. So technically, we're at the hour mark. If you stayed on here, we appreciate you. Thanks for being viewers of Trades in 5. Hit that like if you wouldn't mind. And definitely keep the engagement coming in the comments on these videos. We enjoy it, and we also get good ideas from you guys. So if you have ideas for players to cover, player profiles, or strategy type shows, please let us know. We'll do our best to fit them in a show. All right. We got to do more of these live streams. It's kind of fun, right? Shane,
Yeah, I mean, when are we going to get to 200? What do you project?
Yeah. When are we going to get to 200 episodes? Well, I already talked you guys into getting 100 this quickly. So
you also told us that this was called Dynasty Trades in 5, and that feels like a lie to me.
It was a cool idea at the time, but I pigeonholed us into now Dynasty Trades and never 5. We need 5 different types of shows. You know, so it's 5 Dynasty Trades in 5 angles. Anyway,
there you go. All right. There you go.
Yeah. So
anyway, yeah, appreciate everybody listening. It's a good time to engage and talk about some of this stuff. So appreciate everybody that's commented. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in and left feedback and all that stuff. So really appreciate the support.
And tune in for more info about the Listener League. All right.
For sure,
guys. See you,
Later.
Shane. See you, Scott.
Bye.
Bye.